On this edition of Law Talk, we discuss auxiliary lighting and the law.
Another question that we get asked all the time is about auxiliary lighting, whether it be the big light bars that everybody's putting on the front of their side-by-sides, the chase lights, or the becoming really popular now, the whip lights that they can dance with your radio and all of that. And there's different opinions on all of these lights, and then there's the law on these lights. And I'm standing here with Sergeant Myers. We've just been talking about these. On the trails, I think pretty much it's game on, whatever you want to do with them. If you don't shut your light bar off on the front on oncoming traffic, you might not be the most popular guy on the trails. But I want Sergeant Myers to kind of go over the actual laws of what applies to all of these different lights.
All right, so let's talk about the trails. Since you brought that up, we'll go with that first. So with the trails, there is not currently a law or regulation for the whip lights, the colored lights, those types of things on the trail. Like you indicated, the overhead light bar definitely blinds people, so you want to make sure you're shutting them off as you're coming up to them. But again, that's not law regulated, other than maybe a careless operation type situation. But I would just recommend turning those off, as you wouldn't want to be blinded for anyone coming at you. So there is no law for that on the trails. So if we now transfer over to the roadway, a lot of areas, including Lake County, have our ORV ordinance. And the ORV ordinance allows them on the roads. However, Michigan Motor Vehicle Code does apply because now you're on a roadway. So the forward-facing can only be white light or amber light, and rear-facing can be amber or red. However, those colored lights, the non-white and the red, need to be hooked to either a brake light or a blinker light when the blinkers are activated, if you have that on your machine, which the standard machine does not have blinkers. So therefore, on the rear, there couldn't be any flashing red. It could be attached to your brake light. However, on the front, there couldn't be any flashing amber lights unless, again, you have a turn signal kit hooked up to your thing, and it only is activated when you would activate a switch to make a turn. So let's transfer into the flashing lights then. So the flashing amber on the front, flashing red, flashing blue that we've seen, and same thing on the rear, in their own means and the mechanism operating and not part of those other switches which I mentioned, brakes or signals, is improper and illegal. And that does go on driving records, those citations. So we want to make sure that we don't have any of those flashing lights operating at any time on the exterior of your vehicle or visible from the exterior of your vehicle. And a lot of guys talk about the whip lights. So one of the problems I've seen with the whip lights is they have them on red, they have them on constant, and that would be okay given that there's a constant red in the back. However, they're visible 360 degrees. So that would be almost no different than having them on the front of your vehicle, because when a vehicle's approaching you, they can still see that red light. So that's what we don't want. So my advice is no whip lights on at any time on the roadway. Any auxiliary lighting you add on to your ORVs, make sure you just look these laws over and maybe review this video for some things so you don't put something, spend a lot of money on it, and then you can't really use them if you're a primary rider for the roads areas or ride a lot of road to get to the trails.
And I think another thing with all of these lights, no matter what your opinion is of them, is, pretty much if you've got the whips or the chase lights and the light bars, you're fine as long as you're on the trails. As soon as you hit a Lake County road, my recommendation would be to shut them all off.
Any roadway.
Any roadway, yes. And then you're good. And like I said, trails great, roads no. Hope that clears that up.